Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect podcast. I am your host, Naveen Ganglani. We're doing this episode a little earlier than usual. So, if you're wondering why my background seems bright compared to what it typically is, that's because today, on Monday, September 23, our episode is being recorded 9 in the morning, about 12, a little less than 12 hours after what was a monumental upset in UAP basketball with the UE Red Warriors defeating the defending champion DLSU Green Archers at MOA Arena. UE scored a 75 to 71 triumph over LaSalle. They got off to an early 17-point lead after one quarter of play, and they were able to maintain the lead even with DLSU's numerous comeback attempts towards the end of the game in particular. So, for today's episode, Monday, September 23, I'm going to have All Star Magazine writer Simon Redoblado joining on the stage to recap this weekend's action. But at the same time, we are also going to welcome John Abate, one of the breakout players for the UE Red Warriors, who had a spectacular 20-point performance against DLSU. And I believe John is already here and he is set to join us in a little bit. So, guys, don't go anywhere. We are set to welcome Mr. Abate to our show momentarily. Hey, John, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you? That is the real question. How are you doing after what took place on Sunday? I mean, what's life been like the last 12 hours for you? All those Instagram messages you must have gotten, all those text messages, those congratulations. People saying you're out here looking like Austin Rivers. I don't know about that, but some people see the resemblance. I mean, but how has life been like for you the last 12 hours, man? It must be crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely, I want to say, it's kind of a surreal feeling. I'm still getting used to how much people love basketball here. But for the last 12 hours, constant notifications. But really, I just wanted to eat and go to bed because I was kind of tired after the game.
Man, that's crazy. First of all, thank you to reply for replying to me real quickly too. I
Of
appreciate
course.
that. I'm sure I was wondering if my message to you to invite you to the show would have gotten lost with all the 100, 200 messages you must have gotten on
Yeah.
Instagram alone last night. But here you are. I appreciate that, and we're gonna have our co-writer Simon join us here shortly. A game like that, do you after a game like that, do you have a special post-game meal? I mean, how did you celebrate last night? You said all you wanted to do was get some food and get some sleep. So, how did that go for you? Did you go get a nice juicy steak with some potatoes, or was it like a basic meal, go to bed, move on to the next day for you?
I got Japanese. I had some sushi and I had some chicken teriyaki. So, it was definitely a meal that I needed to recover my body to prepare me for the next day, for the next game. And
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome. No, that's great. And you know what? UE Red Warriors here now 2-2 after starting the season 0-2. And you're slowly bouncing back after many people assume you guys might be at the bottom of the standings because of how you started the season, but you just defeated the defending champions. I want to get to the start of the game because you start out really hot off the gate. You know, you lead 28-11 after one quarter. You're on fire. That was one of the best three-point shooting displays I've seen from a UAP team ever. First question, what do you think about the game plan that Coach Jack and your team set up that allowed your team to get off to such a great rhythm? And number two, were you surprised that LaSalle didn't start Kevin Quiambao in the first quarter?
to answer your first question, the game plan that we had was just execute, and we all had our defensive schemes that kind of goes into their plays and their preparation for them. We do a really good job from the coaching staff to be able to give us the opportunity to maximize our defensive side, and then on the offense side, it's really up to us to be able to do the best that we can. Then execution, reading the defense, and giving us the best opportunity to score or make something happen. And the not starting in KQ, I mean, I don't really want to think into much that or have my opinion on it. That's just something that they thought was best for the team and what they wanted to do, and I would just leave it like that.
Of course, you guys shot 12 out of 30 from downtown, 40%. Some of that is progression to the mean because some of the early games, particularly that season opener against UST, you guys struggled from downtown, and here you guys are. You attacked the DLSU zone, you found the openings, got it to the open guy, and it was just a spectacular performance. You shot 6 out of 7 from the field, 3 out of 3 from downtown, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line. You played 30 minutes, 26 seconds, the most out of anyone in the team, which displays to me the trust that Coach Jack and his coaching staff they have on you and how you can handle the ball, how you can handle the offense, and how well you're just playing. When you were at the free throw line with the score 73-71 with a few seconds left and you had the chance to ice the game after KQ, the reigning MVP, had just missed his 2 free throws, what was going through your mind and how were you able to, given that you guys were on the brink of an incredible victory, how were you able to steady and balance yourself and knock in those 2 free throws, which, isn't as common as people think? A lot of UAP players go 1 of 2 or 0 of 2 from the free throw line, and here you are going 2 of 2. So, what was your mindset in that moment?
Well, first off, I almost missed the second free throw, so I was happy I had that little shooter's touch. Um, but going through my head, walking up to the line, I knew I had to stay composed. You know, I'm 23 years old. I've had a lot of experience in big crowds, playing in arenas that big or if not bigger, playing on ESPN as well. And so already having that type of publicity coverage or the audience, it's kind of I wouldn't say it's foreign. It's not something I haven't been in. But at the end of the day, I had to execute. I had to finish high my release, keep calm in my mind, and ultimately focus on the rim to where I knew where the ball needed to be.
Fantastic. We are joined by you, Red Warrior, John Abate, on playback, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And if you guys are watching this later on Spotify, thank you so much. If you are visiting any of our platforms for the first time, I hope you guys can subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated. So, people have asked me to ask you this. Some people are wondering, is it John Abate? Is it John Abate? Because they started calling you John Abate on the broadcast of the UAP games, and I think that was your request. So Abate is the right way to pronounce your name. Am I right?
Actually, they're both grammatically correct. Um, so my last name is Italian. Abate is how you say it, and if you want to say it in English, it's Abate. So it's really preference and your choice.
I see. So there's an Italian accent the way you say abate. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some style to that. I like that. I kind of like that. So, do you kind of play around with how to pronounce your name sometimes, depending on the people you're with? Like, if you're with homies, people, oh yeah, you can call me Abate, but maybe when you're trying to be a little stylish, have a little swag, be like, oh, I'm abate. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you decide that? I'm curious.
Honestly, it's really I kind of go based off their body language. You know, if some people like to be like more than usual, and I say Abate, but if it's just chill, like how you're saying, my homies, I just say Abate. You know, it's just a surname that I've been living with my whole life, obviously, and it's just really your preference.
I might get canceled for this, and people are gonna call me so lame. But have you ever used the pickup line? Do you want a date with a bait? I just have to ask.
No, I never use that one, but I might add that to my bag.
Okay. You let me know how that goes. I'm very curious. I might write an article about it. No, I'm just playing. Simon Redoblado of All Star Magazine with us right now. Thank you to Simon. He's currently in the parking lot of his kid's school, joining us on his cellular phone. The beauty of modern technology. Simon, go ahead. Ask John what you'd like to know.
Hey, first of all, shout out to your dad. I used to watch him, with the Alaska Aces and the Coca-Cola Tigers. I grew up watching him. And as for you, you're already starting to make a name for yourself in the UAAP. I want to ask about that defensive assignment with Kevin Quiambao. Of course, it's no piece of cake defending the reigning MVP and Finals MVP of the league, right? So, could you tell us more about your defensive strategy? What mindset did you have going into trying to contain KQ for that matchup last night?
So other than just studying film on him and figuring out his tendencies, my main objective was to keep him under his averages. Being a range MVP, playing in FIBA, playing in the Olympics, he has a status that not most people have, especially his age. And KQ has accomplished a lot in his lifetime, and he has many more to come. So my main objective is keep him under his averages, contain him the best I can, and at the end of the day, we did that.
And you did an impeccable job of that, John. Now, let's run through a couple of plays in the clutch. Okay, so talking about KQ, Navs, I don't know what the heck happened. He missed not one, but two crucial free throws that could have tied the game and sent the game to overtime. So, John, when you saw that ball going clunk, okay, and the rebound being collected and the ball being delivered to you, I mean, that was Patrick Mahomes in the past Super Bowl. You ran, okay, the length of the court. So, what was going through your mind through those crazy moments?
Secure the ball, and if I can get away from everybody, get away from everybody. A matter of fact, I used to run track, so I kind of use that going up the court.
There you go. This guy has crazy speed. And the last thing I wanted to ask was pressure pack free throws because you just saw KQ, okay, miss a couple on the other end. So former UE Red Warrior Paulie talked at length about how those games of free throw shooting over ice water in the streets of Tondo helped him to prepare for those three infamous shots on the FIBA stage. What about you? What's your free throw shooting story? What helped you refine your stroke from the charity stripe?
I would say making every shot count, especially in practice. Visualization is a big part of my practice and repetition as well. Being able to get those shots up and that type of moment is not gonna only help me with my ability to make them later on or consistently, but also being able to make them at big moments like that. So visualizing, moments like that, even as a kid, 3, 2, 1, make a shot, or at the line, charity strike, keep cool, keep calm, collected, and make it happen. It's a big part of my game.
It's a lesson
Fantastic.
for all aspiring hoopers out there. Get those reps in. Congrats once again on the big win, John.
Thank you, thank you.
Fantastic question there from Simon and to our viewers right now, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or playback. If you guys have any questions for Mr. Abate, aka Abate, feel free to send them in the comment section. You guys can come on the stage. The best place to watch this interview right now is on our playback, actually. So come on the playback. It's a lot of fun. So, John, 2-2 now for the UE Red Warriors. What was the locker room like last night after the victory? I'm sure the guys were hyped. I'm sure you guys were ready to talk your stuff a little bit, but at the same time, too, it's an early season. You're 2-2 through 4 games. And even if you're new to the UAAP, you're not new to basketball. So you know how sometimes when you win a big game, the way you did on Sunday against LaSalle, there could be the potential for a letdown in the next game. We've seen that a lot in basketball. So was the messaging from your coaching staff yesterday more of, guys, we won this game, but it's early in the season. We need to keep our focus. Or was it along the lines of, we'll get back to work tomorrow on Monday, but for tonight, you guys enjoy this, enjoy the moment because you deserve it.
Honestly, I would say it's both. Coach definitely wanted us to enjoy ourselves tonight, but he was also trying to keep us humble as well. Uh, we played a great team, we played a great game, but we also have upcoming games that we need to focus on and being able to potentially make it to the Final Four and give us an opportunity to make something happen in that late run.
Fantastic. Gerard Wilson has been playing solid as of late as well. I believe like you, Gerard first committed to UST, and then both of you wound up at University of the East. Gerard,
Mm,
unfortunately, his first season was cut short because he had a torn labrum injury he had to recover from, and because you arrived at UE late last season, I think was the biggest reason why you weren't part of the roster. However, that extra year, you know, aka redshirting almost allowed you to develop more in the Philippine style of play. I feel like that got you better prepared for UAAP basketball sitting out the year. Do you feel the same way that that season where you watched from the stands and you got to observe how the game and playing style is played here better prepared you for your, eventual entry into the lineup?
I believe so too. Given that little gap here or time to accommodate to how the style of play or how I'm going against the refs or anybody really in the Philippines, it gave me the opportunity to learn and figure out tendencies that are kind of built here. And Gerard, I don't know if you know, but me and Gerard played against each other in college in the States, and then coming here, it's kind of weird, but I'm happy he's my teammate and he's very consistent. I love it. We know what we're gonna get from him, and I'm really appreciate him for
Who won those games in your college battles back in the States? Come on.
that. I think you can find it online, but
All right. We'll check that out for sure. And if Gerard ever wants to respond to that, Gerard, you're welcome to do so. So, you guys are facing the National University Bulldogs next, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, how confident would you say the team is right now with your ability to execute plays and come up with the big stops in the defensive end?
honestly, 1 out of 5, I'd probably say a 6. I mean, we also
Okay.
we have to always have to have the confidence to play. This game is 80% mental in my opinion. It definitely has a big part in the mental side. The physical quantity of being able to make shots or make put a repetition, that's just a blessing in basketball that you have to do if you want to make something happen. But really, it comes down to execution, how tempo, and the ability to make shots. It really just comes down to that mental side. So really, execution on our side, we did good against De La Salle, but we also obviously had mistakes. So we really have to emphasize and learn from those to be able to make the better plays against NU.
Fantastic. Now we have a good question here from Mr. JP Manahan. Thank you to JP for tuning in. That game last night was very similar to the preseason game at Phil Oil that you guys had against the DLSU. In fact, when LaSalle was making that comeback late in the fourth quarter, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go again. This would suck for UE if this plays out the same way. And, as fate would have it, KQ went on fire in that game, and Phil Oil this time around, he misses 2 free throws, which, to some degree can show you how much of a first full circle basketball can be sometimes. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
up, sometimes you're down, and it's the breaks of the game, right? But as that match yesterday against LaSalle was going on, JP wants to know, did you guys have that in the back of your head, the Phil Oil game? I mean, was it partly like, hey, we actually matched up well against these guys in Phil Oil. Maybe we will match up well against them also in the UAAP, or was it like, independent of each other?
So Coach Jack, he was grinding into our head that we match up good against LaSalle. He didn't know the reason until Phil Oil that we keep playing good against LaSalle. Like we're kind of like their kryptonite, put it like that. We're a good matchup for them, and it just so happened to where that we can able to get a win off great execution. But having that Phil Oil game back in my head, I wasn't really too worried about that or focused on that because of what we did. And we didn't even have our full team yet. But in that fourth quarter, they made the run. We knew it's going to happen. And my job was to deny KQ the best I can and limit his opportunities. And, at the end of the day, we made it happen.
Absolutely, you did. I was making a joke with some friends the other day too. I'm like, if you take into account all the players who have left University of the East the last few seasons, your Remagat, Gianni Stevens, Paranada, I'm missing Pagsanhan, who's now in the NCAA, and I'm missing one more guy here, I believe.
Luis Villegas,
L- No, I
who
think he
went pro.
graduated. He graduated. I
Oh, yeah.
meant the guys who transferred. You could kind of make a starting five that's a Final Four contender, but alas, I mean, here they've left the school, right? So, guys like you, John, those who have stayed committed to UE, who are playing with University of the East, who are staying loyal to Coach Jack Santiago, is there some kind of extra fire there to prove to the guys who left the team that, hey, I mean, you guys actually left a pretty good squad, and even if you guys are gone, we're here and we can still handle things for the school.
I wouldn't say there's extra fire, but or more reason to play harder, or like run harder or play better. I think we should have that on every given night. Um, I wouldn't say we wish that they came back or stayed either. That was their decision, and all we can do is just respect it and hope them for the best for their career and their future. And at the end of the day, we have to do what we need to do.
I like it. Very business oriented answer. To the spectators,
Uh,
send in your questions for John. Simon, go ahead.
I have actually just one more question, John. So those are some nice earbuds you have there going, buddy. So you put those on, you turn on Spotify, and then you're headed to the gym or the arena, whatever the case may be. You're putting up those shots. What's in your playlist, John Abate?
So I actually listen to a broad genre of music. Like it can be from rock, it can be from piano actually to pop music, hip hop. I really have a wide range of music that I like, but mostly what I'm listening to is either hip hop or uh, rock actually.
If I may hazard another question, John. So, could you tell us like two or three of the most previous hip hop names you've listened to?
Uh, Off the top of my head, I can think of Big X the Plug and my boy Sleeves from college. He became a little rapper out of Spring Hill College, so shout out to him. And other than famous artists, I would probably say Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Future, a little bit of Gunna.
So are you a
Ghana.
Drake
Oh
or a
man,
Kendrick guy?
deep
Are you
cuts
Drake
here,
or
Nabs.
Kendrick?
I'm
Oh,
I'm
there
not
you
I'm,
go.
I'm I'm not on any side. I'm not on any side.
Oh, come on,
Oh
man. We gotta test
man.
it, John. You can hit clutch free throws in clutch UAP games, but you gotta be able to decide Drake or Kendrick.
Right, right now, I would say "Not Like Us" by Kendrick Lamar's played last night.
There
Put it like
you go.
There
that.
you go. Hey,
There you go.
when you said rock music, was Fallout Boy part of your list?
Oh yeah, Fall Out Boy is definitely a good band. Yeah.
My guy, what's your favorite Fallout Boy song ever?
Hold on, hold on. Let me go back to my playlist. This is an old one. What
Hmm.
was I didn't listen to any last night. Put it like that. So hold on, give me a second.
All right, all right. Now we got a good message here from Tim Twassen. I want to read it out. UE started out on fire. It didn't help that we didn't start KQ. He's from LaSalle, but the LaSalle starting five who started with their lackadaisical defense and turnovers set the tone for UE to capitalize. And the shooting touch was magnificent for the Red Warriors, but they also pounced in LaSalle from the point. They rebounded off the missed shot or recorded a turnover and scored in transition buckets. That's a great point by Tim, John, because I felt one of the reasons you guys were able to close out DLSU in the game yesterday was the hustle plays, the extra effort, guys diving out of bounds to keep the ball alive, guys creating second chance scoring opportunities. And I don't want to say LaSalle was lazy or they expected to win, but UE, I felt definitely played with a gear higher than DLSU. And that comes down to effort, that comes down to hustle, and you guys did a good job. Some people were saying LaSalle might have underestimated UE. There was even a meme page that said that this was going to be an open practice game for DLSU. They said the same for FEU, which turned out to be true, but you guys proved them wrong. And in addition to that, your women's team and high school team also beat LaSalle. So it was a very red day on Sunday, September 22. Did you personally feel that LaSalle took you guys for granted or underestimated your team?
Honestly, I don't know their playbook. I don't know what their plan was, but they put out a 5 on there, and we put our 5 out there. And then at the end of the day, you know, we made it happen. And shout out to the UE women's basketball team. 5 years, 40 games, and they won. I'm super proud of them, and I hope that they can continue winning. And I hope they have the confidence individually and collectively to make something happen and continue their progression on winning.
Fantastic. Shout out to the women's team indeed and the high school squad as well. Now we got a question here from Miles D. He wants to know, John, what was the key adjustment you feel that made the difference in the game? Was it taking their bigs out into the perimeter? Great question, Miles.
Key adjustment, I would say we finally made shots.
That's a great adjustment.
Great adjustment, right? Great adjustment. Question from Kirian. What do you think was the key to last night's win? John just answered that. They made shots. When shots are open, sometimes it's a matter of going in or going not. Best game from Wello. Hey, do you want to know why Wello played good yesterday? Do you guys want to know the real reason why Wello played good yesterday? Simoun, you know
Do
the
tell
answer.
us,
You know why?
Nabs. Do tell us, Nabs. Was it the hair?
Kasi linggo eh.
Sunday.
I didn't know we were busting out the dad jokes on a Monday, Nabs. You didn't tell me, man. Come on.
Diba? I mean, linggo. So you need to. Nah, I'm just joking. John Abate played awesome also, of course. I see JP understands my humor right now. I don't know if it's because I'm just getting old, but I just really like dry jokes nowadays, man. To the amusement of many people, whether they'd like to admit it or not. We got a few more minutes here with John Abate before we let him get on with the rest of his day as a rock star, at least until UE faces NU. But if they do beat NU, it would be a 3-game winning streak. And also at the same time, it would continue the excitement and hype for the UE Red Warriors right now. Good question here from JP Manahan. Give us some precious mom away stories, John, because we see how animated he is on the court. We see how passionate he can be sometimes, for better or worse, because there are moments it's for the better. There are moments where he might chase a referee or two, but in the locker room, in practices, in campus, give us some precious stories that just makes you crack up.
Precious is definitely a character, and he's definitely emotional. He's a great player as well, and he's doing something that not a lot of people can do. He's making the sacrifice for our team, and bittersweet, he's doing a thing that not a lot of people will do. So I'm very proud of him and shout out for him. A story, me and Precious. I would say one time, it's not really funny, but it's also funny at the same time. One time, me and Precious actually fought, and I threw the ball at him, and he pushed me, and it kind of escalated from there. But it was all love, there's very competitiveness and having that determination to push each other to make each other better. Precious, has came a long way from his journey from Ateneo to other schools, and then ultimately UE, and he's just having a great career so far, and he'll definitely be on the upcome in these next couple of games.
Fantastic. Yes, imagine if Ateneo and Precious Momoway, that would be something, man. Said Precious Momoway is out here doing the business for UE. Hey, who won the fight between you and Precious? I want to know.
Let's keep that disclosed. I don't want to.
Okay, we'll keep that under the radar. By the way, we should shout out one of the major influences in your basketball career right now for both you and Precious, Coach Brody of Phenom, who has helped many of you guys get these opportunities in college basketball in the pros as well, NCAA UAP. So shout out to Coach Brody and what he is doing. Tim says, I hope you play that way against Ateneo. See, now that's a diehard Lasallian right there. We have a question from Fran Du. And this is a good question. Mike Phillips, I thought, was the best Lasallian on the floor yesterday. How he was diving on the floor, creating second chance scoring opportunities, getting in the paint, scoring buckets. When you see Motor Mike get on a motor spree like that and start creating hustle plays, how do you contain him? How do you box him out? How do you try to stop someone with that much energy and size and height and strength?
Ultimately, you control the tempo of the game. I had two turnovers. I think he got a steal on, and I think I lost the ball in one, and he scored on those opportunities. So I knew from there I needed to slow down the tempo because I don't want him to get going. I don't want him to get those easy layups or dunks and those second chance opportunities because he's a great tenacious rebounder. So understanding that, I had to execute and box him out. I had to slow down the game to where he doesn't get going and to where he's not playing at his tempo, but he's playing at my tempo and control the game at the end of the day.
Fantastic, fantastic. We also got a message here from our messenger chat. Someone wants to know, John, aside from UE and UST, did any other UAAP or NCAA school try to recruit you?
LaSalle.
Wait, no way. You almost ended up
Oh,
at LaSalle.
Nabs,
LaSalle
you
was
just
actually
muted yourself.
No, I meant, did you hear that? I mean, how did you almost end up at LaSalle?
actually Brody. Brody made a great job as LaSalle was the first school that I got interacted with, and then there was UST, and then obviously UE.
So what ultimately brought you to University of the East? What was the key factor that made you decide, yeah, I'm actually gonna depart UST and look to join UE?
Uh, I would say Gerard actually. He made it. Someone familiar. That's someone I could connect with. It's someone I played against for 3 years, um, in college, and having that type of connection, he let me know that how it was there. I came to practice. I felt what he said, and I liked the coaching staff and the players that were there. They're very welcoming, and it just made me feel great as a player and reassured me even more.
Very interesting. Okay, question here from Jace. Who is the player that you are excited to match up with come the second round or the rest of the UAAP season?
One particular player that has been giving me the business for like my whole career, I would say I wouldn't even say just him, but I would say UP in general. Jerry, I'm sorry, I don't want to mess up his last name. Jerry Abadano.
Abadiano, yeah.
Badiano.
Yeah. Sorry for messing up your name. My bad. And then JD Kagulagan. Those two players have definitely given me the business or made it hard for me to perform at a level that I know that I can. So we got to definitely execute on them and focus on them.
Fantastic. Yeah, and the last time you guys faced UP, you played 1 out of 4 quarters, unfortunately, and they were able to build a lead. So maybe you guys will do better against them in the second round. Simon, last question from you before we let John go here.
All right, John, any message to the UA faithful, the UA fan base? The camera kept panning to certain sections of the arena last night, and man, those guys probably have classes today. They have to commute, but they stayed the entire game just to cheer their hearts out for you and to see Precious like with his face and his shirt bending down. And when I was seeing him, I was like, dude, go ahead, cry. No one's gonna like reprimand you for crying in the middle of an elimination round game. But what's your message to the UE fans?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, you guys are supporting us means more than you know. Being at those games to where it's even hard or we have obligations to do, such as school or work, it means more than you know. Seeing you guys cheer for us and motivating us and being there at, if not every game, almost every game, I really feel it in my heart. And, it makes me put a smile on my face. And I know it sure does for each and every other player on the team. So thank you.
Fantastic. I think that's a great way to end it. John Abate also to some people. Thank you so much for joining us, bro. Great game against LaSalle. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that we're thrilled to see what else you'll be doing the rest of the UAP season. You have one more season after season 87, right? You got season 88 too.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Any plans if you're gonna go pro at the end of the season, or are you gonna come back for one more season with UE?
Right now, it's staying with UV.
I see. I like that. Get that extra experience in besides the future is bright. How old are you now?
I'm 23 years old.
See, you're young. I mean, some people join the PBA as rookies at 29, 31 years old. So you got a lot of time ahead of you, man. No, shout out to you. Thanks also for joining me so early on a Monday morning. and fresh off a big win. I appreciate it big time, and more power to you, bro.
Appreciate you for having me on me. Thank you.
Anytime, you're always welcome. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, bye.
All right, Simon. So we just heard from John Abate. Now let's talk about the game a little bit. UE obviously shot the lights out. As we mentioned earlier, they were 12 out of 30 from downtown, 40%, 42% from the field. Ironically, DLSU, I thought they had a bad shooting game, 43% from the field, which isn't excellent, but isn't terrible as well. Mike Phillips had 16 points on 7 of 12 shooting. Kevin Quiambao 17 points on 6 of 17 shooting. And just 1 out of 8 from 3-point distance. And as I mentioned earlier, KQ not exactly shooting great from 3-point distance in UAP season 87. Just 9 out of 34, which is about 27% from long range for the reigning UAAP MVP. Phillips, I thought, was superb. 16 points, like I mentioned. Also hit a big 3-pointer in the fourth quarter. 9 rebounds, 5 steals. But two main issues for DLSU. First, three main issues. 2 out of 16 from downtown, just terrible 3-point shooting. They were actually 23 out of 42 from inside the arc. 19 out of 35 from the free throw line for DLSU. We knew about the LaSalle free throw curse for years, and here it is manifesting itself. And also, 19 LaSalle turnovers. 19 LaSalle turnovers that led to 23 UE points. UE had 31 bench points as well, 42 perimeter points. Abate, who we just talked to, 20 points. Welo Lingo, 18 points and 6 out of 11 shooting. Gerard Wilson, 10 points. Not the most efficient night, but still solid. And Precious Momoway, just 5 points, including 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 6 from the foul line, 12 boards, 3 turnovers. Had some foul trouble too, 4 fouls, but plus 13 in his minutes. So he was impactful when he was on the court. For DLSU, Kevin Quiambao was a +3, one of the few guys who had a positive differential on the court. Boris Marzigan Loki had a good game, 10 points, 4 out of 7 from the field. But to you, when you watch that game, what was the key to UE's victory?
It's funny that John just mentioned their biggest adjustment being we just made shots, and I actually thought, Navs, that UE did a De La Salle on the LaSalle because in the past 3 games of LaSalle, okay, all wins, of course, they were able to install that gap between them and their opponents by shooting well from the perimeter. And it's so difficult if you're an opposing team to try and keep up and try to still get your mental ready, okay, for 40 minutes. If your opponent is basically making anything that they want from the outside and the mid range. But I thought that in the second half, when UE was making their perimeter shots, it not only instilled their confidence that we can indeed defeat the defending champions, but it also gave them that comfortable cushion. And I think the commentators alluded to this in the last few minutes of that fourth quarter. It gave them enough of a cushion so that when the Archers' vaunted comeback, okay, through the extraordinary hands of Kevin Kimbao, they'd still be in the driver's seat, even when they were trying to weather that storm. Um, Funny how a couple of free throws on this side and on that side basically decided the game, and this has whetted my appetite to see more DLSU and UE games in round 2 and perhaps down the line.
Exactly. Look, if UE faced LaSalle every game, UE might be one of the greatest dynasties to ever exist in college basketball. I mean, if we're just keeping it 100. So let's move on to another game. I want to do UPFU, but real quick, because honestly, this was quite predictable. UP with a dominant win over FEU, 41% from the field for the Fighting Maroons, just 15 3-point attempts. And this is no longer a blip, it's a trend. UP is not settling for outside shots. They're attacking the rim, they're getting out in transition, they're dominating in the paint, rebounding. They're also pretty solid, 48 rebounds total, out rebounding FEU by 5, forcing FEU to 17 turnovers. FEU just 31% shooting from the field. Adam Nakai was a bright spot for FEU, 12 points and 4 out of 5 shooting in 12 minutes. he is one of the rookies to watch out for this season. And I think if FU gives him more opportunities moving forward, he's someone who can surprise a lot of people. VJ Pre, another tough game, 5 out of 16 from the field, 10 points. Yeah, not a great performance from him. John Pasa all 2 points and 0 of 9 shooting. It's crazy to think that FEU faced UP in the semis of the Phil Oil tournament just a few months ago, and now FEU 0-4 in the standings. Their next game will be against a DLSU team looking to bounce back against after losing to UE, and then after that they also have Ateneo and UST, if I'm not mistaken. Francis Lopez, 13 points. Quentin Milora Brown, his best game as a Fighting Maroon so far, 11 points in just 21 and a half minutes, 4 out of 7 from the field, 13 rebounds, up plus 16. We don't need to get much into this. I think UP is, like we mentioned before the season started, UP is coming in as the number one team this UAP season. And we saw yesterday, not to make this a LaSalle topic again, but 3 out of LaSalle's 4 games so far, they've been sloppy. They were sloppy against NU. KQ's heroics saved them down the stretch. They were sloppy against Ateneo for the most part, but Ateneo just, struggled in the third period of that game. LaSalle was able to take advantage. And then the game against UE last night, we saw what happens if LaSalle plays sloppy. So I think UP right now, they're dominant. They're kind of flying under the radar, very business-like oriented, no BS. They're doing their thing. They're cruising. And I feel if LaSalle and UP faced each other right now, UP might win by like 7 or 8 points based on how both teams are playing. Of course, there's time to change that entering when the rematch between both teams to end the first round. So we'll see how it materializes. Okay, Ateneo versus Adamson. Adamson fans were kind of quiet on social media that day after this game. I wonder where some of you went. But let's not start some beef here. I think we've moved on from that. I'm just saying, guys, keep the same energy. If you're gonna trash talk me after wins, you guys better have that same confidence after losses too. Great game for the Blue Eagles. They got off to a strong start. You saw the impact of someone like Chris Kuhn, plus 11 in 25 minutes, 8 points, just 3 out of 10 from the field, but solid overall. Adamson struggled from the field, 36%. Just think about this. They took 17 3-point shots to the Soaring Falcons. They made a grand total of zero. 0 out of 17 from downtown for Adamson. They were on fire against UST. Regression to the mean against Ateneo. Manzano had 14 points and 7 boards, but 5 personal fouls. This was a great Ateneo game, classic Tab Baldwin game. Sean Tuano continues to play well. And guess what? He went 6 out of 8 from the foul line. Sean Tuano did. So he's improving in that weakness that we discussed last time around. What did you like about the way Ateneo beat Adamson?
I think they've embraced their scrappy, hardworking, like claw, scratch, bite for every opportunity to establish their supremacy on the hard court. Okay, so again, contrast that to the dynastic teams that they've had in the past, where they were loaded with talent and they were basically clicking on all cylinders in terms of offense, in terms of defense. But now, Coach Tab Baldwin recognizes the talent pool that he has. Okay, it's not really comparable to the teams that he's handled in the past or even previous very successful Ateneo teams. But what do we do when we are not a stat, let's say like a UP or a DLSU? Well, we're going to outwork everyone. We're going to be first to the floor. We're going to take charges and we're going to play our butts off for 40 minutes straight, particularly on the defensive end. Shout out to Josh Lazaro. Shout out to Sean Tuano. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record here, but those two, to me, Navs, exemplify this identity of the Ateneo Blue Eagles. They don't really care who's across them, okay, on the hard court, whether it's someone on the top of the standings or the bottom of the standings. They just give 110% out there. Shout out especially to Lazaro for developing short baseline stabs, up and unders, inside excursions. Is not exactly the biggest out there in terms of front court players in the league, but he gets it done. Okay, and yes, Sean Tuano, I don't know how many hours you've spent in the gym practicing your free throws by yourself, by a partner, in front of 100 people, but my man, you got your hard work done and you got your results. Congratulations to you guys for getting your first win.
One more guy I want to point out here is Christian Porter, who, ironically enough, is turning out to be the most impactful rookie for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Jared Bahay, another tough shooting game, 2 of 11 from the field, including 1 of 8 from downtown. He had 4 fouls, zero turnovers though. So you like to see that ball security from Bahay. And once that those shooting numbers start improving, I think the stats are gonna look better. But so far, Christian Porter against Adamson, 8 points, 4 out of 9 from the field, 10 rebounds in 28 minutes. He was a plus 10 when he was on the court, and this is a true freshman straight out of high school. He's got a college ready body despite being young. So you can only imagine year 4 or year 5 what this guy is going to look like. And he is going to be a beast. A lot of times people tend to overestimate or underestimate what a rookie does based on a few games or one season. But for example, Rob Al Husseini didn't really pop out until his latter years in college basketball,
Yeah.
right? Not at all. And we made a comparison of Jason Perkins for Christian Porter the last time I spoke with Nico Rocha on this show. I like that comparison more and more. I like that Christian can hit a 3 pointer. I like that he can score in the paint. I like that he rebounds well. Doesn't have a lot of athleticism, but knows how to use his body, knows how to use his size. He is going to be an outstanding basketball player not long from now. And Ateneo is going to love this guy if they don't love him already. He is going to be a household name. What do you think of Porter so far?
Yeah. When I think of Porter and when I think of Bahay, and even someone like a Kyle Ong, okay, and then Tuano emerging on his own, okay, into his own rather. Uh, Ateneo has great pieces, okay, moving forward. Now, if they get some more pieces, basically the puzzle will be complete, and coach tab will be able to. Okay, Coach Tab in this regard is much like Coach Tim Cone. They don't just go out there and prime rib eye and truffle oil and just basically get the fanciest ingredients out there. When they go out and scout talent, they make sure that all the pieces that they get are complementary to the system that they're trying to implement, and the vision that they have in terms of how the vision of how their team is supposed to play. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch the growth of all these young men as we go further in these seasons, as we go further, as we continue to follow their careers. And yeah, Christian Porter, dude, if you can continue to refine that jumper, make defenders think about it, and then perhaps add that nice first step and drive to the basket when your opponents overreact to your outside shooting, then you're gonna have a bright future ahead of you, young man.
Absolutely. And I like this comment from Miles saying Christian can work on his playos in the next offseason for this to become even truer. Perkins was quite explosive for a guy his size. We should also remember that Perkins, who originally was supposed to go to San Beda and ended up at DLSU when he arrived in the Philippines for college basketball, had some experience under his belt already. Porter, like we said, straight out of high school. I'm super high on Christian Porter. I am buying all the Christian Porter stock right now. Such a versatile player. And I agree with Miles. Once he gets those plyo workouts in, once he turns some of the baby fat more into muscle and leans down to some degree, he is going to be a beast. A beast. I'm telling all of you. And before we get to the last game, I just want to shout out some of my friends from Whale Co. Since I started using Whale for my protein powders in 2017, I have not veered away. I love it. They have a new flavor called strawberry milk, which I absolutely love and dig. It is delicious. And my favorite of all time has to be the clean caramel. So just 2 grams of carbohydrates for every 30 gram serving size. They also have 23 grams of protein per scoop and 1.4 grams of fat. So it is awesome. It is delicious. If you guys are looking for supplements, delicious protein to help you out with your workouts or just serve as a snack when you don't want to indulge in something fatty or junky, then this is the way to go. The whale to go, I should say. Shout out to my guys, Jason and Verge, for always keeping me stocked up, so to say. Okay, so the one game we haven't discussed yet, aside from DLSU might have been the most exciting game of the weekend. UST using a 19 to 12 fourth period to beat National University by 3 points. Great game from Steve Nash Enriquez. 17 points, 4 of 10 from the field, 4 of 7 from downtown, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Missed all these 2 point shots, ironically, but also had 5 assists, just 1 turnover. And was actually a +5 in his time on the court. Jake Figueroa, 11 points, 5 of 8 from the field. But UST won the day. Mo Tungkara, 15 markers, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Christian Manaytay, another solid game, 14 points and just 6 shot attempts, 6 of 7 from the foul line. Did have 6 turnovers though, but a +9. Cabanero, 10 points, 4 of 8 shooting. Fortsky Padregao, 8 points, 3 of 6 from the field, 5 assists, 4 turnovers, but a +15. In the game, they only won by 3. Fortsky, +15 when he was on the court, which goes to show how important this guy is to the team. Now, we should say NU does not have an FSA. That was an advantage for UST, but still an impressive bounce back win for the Growling Tigers, especially after how they lost against Adamson. UST now tied with DLSU for number 2 in the league standings with identical 3-1 records. What would you say, Simon, about this game? Impressive UST win, bad NU collapse, or kind of in the middle between the two?
Actually, I'll go ahead and comment on all four games, okay, with the exception of the UP FEU game, okay, which was basically a glorified blowout, okay. Um, the other three games were character wins by all of the teams that came out on the winning end, okay. So that would be UE, okay, and then Ateneo, and then UST. I felt had the biggest character win out of all those three. Why? They got punched in the mouth by Adamson, okay, a few days ago, and I think a good barometer of how you look at teams, okay, up and coming teams would be how do they bounce back after tasting the bitter taste of loss, right? So I think lesser teams would not be able to pick up themselves generally, okay, out of that hole of the bitter taste of loss. But what UST did was, okay, that is done and over with. We now know what it takes to win and basically what we should not do so that we won't lose. So we're now going to become a better version of ourselves when we go up against our fourth opponent in round one. It was a very entertaining game, Navs, because it was the system ball of Jeff Napa versus what I would say is next to UP and De La Salle, the most complete team in the UAAP. They have veteran presence in the form of players like Christian Manaytay. They still have Cabanero, who is a scorer extraordinaire, and among other things, they have shooters, they have rebounders. I love Jello Crisostomo, and then you have a closer. Very important that you have a closer in this league. When Fortsky Padrigal got that mismatch, okay, that he wanted, okay, basically he was salivating for it, okay. He knew exactly what he was going to do, dribbling mastery, step back, okay, make this defender do some sort of breakdance, and then he basically has real estate all to himself. Let it fly. So I remain highly entertained by the UST Growling Tigers, and kudos to you guys. This was indeed a character win. By the way, of course, I'm not going to neglect mentioning my Fighting Maroons. They had their character win over NU few days ago. Okay, last Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, actions ramping up in the UAAP Navs, and I can't wait to watch more games.
Interesting. And with UP right now, given how the last few seasons have gone, given that we know how talented they are, what their process is under Coach Gold, how they'll always be one of the top teams in the elimination round. It's a matter of how they will do in the finals. Not even the finals for UP. We're not supposed to take what they're doing super seriously until we get to the finals because we know what they're capable of. We know they can dominate. We know they're capable of going 13-1 or even 14-0 this season. It wouldn't surprise me if they go undefeated, to be honest with you. Actually, maybe it would surprise me a little bit if LaSalle can't score a win against them. But would I be like shocked? Would I be floored if UP goes 14-0? No. It's a matter of can UP secure that finals victory. because we know they're going to be dominant, like I said. Now, with UST, I do have one question, Simon. We've seen dominant Nick Cabanero games. We've seen him go off, will his team to near victories. We've seen his frustrations after the games in the past when they would lose. And he had a decent game against NU, 4 out of 8 from the field, plus four, 10 points in 24 minutes, 5 rebounds. My question is, can Nick Cabanero fit himself in a system where he's not the featured guy because you have other players in the team and still contribute to a high degree? Against Adamson, I didn't think it turned out so well. I felt like he might have gone a little bit old school Nick once UST started losing that game, and that played a factor in how Adamson was able to run in transition and get easy scoring opportunities. But then we see a game like this where Nick takes 8 shot attempts from the field. In fact, he was second in the team in shot attempts. But if you count the free throws of Manaytay, you can even make a case that Manaytay had more usage and he did play more minutes than Nick. So there will be some games where Nick is the second option, the third option, maybe even the fourth option in certain matchups. Meanwhile, Kyle Parnada, another low shooting game, 1 out of 3 from the field. So he hasn't exploded yet. But do you like the way Nick is playing this season for UST? Do you think that, ultimately he needs to be more of a high volume scorer if UST wants to beat the elite teams? Or do you think the role he's playing now is tailor made for the roster construction of the Growling Tigers?
I mean, it's hard to argue with results. They've played 4 games and lost just one, given this particular formula of theirs. And yes, Cabanero, I would say, sort of played hero ball towards the end of that second half because his team needed it the most. Of course, the question would be, does he need to explode in the first half just to make sure that UST would have that cushion? I think this question falls into a sort of weird gray area because yes, they're winning right now, but um, my gut tells me that he needs to do a Kevin Quiambao or a JD Kagulangan in order for UST to really reach the maximum potential of their win-loss record this season. What do I mean by that? When KK plays distribution of the ball, when Kagulangan just says, you know what, screw it, give me the ball, I'm going to shoot and I'm going to shoot at a high clip. When those two players click on all cylinders for their respective teams, it's not like their teammates are, receiving less shots and feeling that they're being left out. There's no FOMO there because what they're doing is basically setting the tone in terms of aggression, in terms of being productive, in terms of being prolific for the rest of their teams. So, yes, Fortsky is there, but at the end of the day, Fortsky will be a distributor. Okay, he'll be a ball handler. He'll get the ball to where it needs to be, rather than put the ball through the hole, which is something that he happens to be very good at. But I think in terms of being the number one option, okay, um, first half and then third quarter, I think Cabanero needs to put up like 8 points, 10 points. He's capable of doing that. We've seen him do that for the past 2 seasons.
So
As for
Simon,
the
correct me
clutch,
if I'm wrong. What you're saying is Nick should get his points out early, set the tone in the first quarter, then kind of let the
yes,
offense and the hierarchy work itself out the rest of the game. Am I right?
yes, he is that capable, and I think they've already gotten so comfortable with one another. Credit to Coach Pido, Coach Juno, and the rest of the UST team. Sorry, the rest of the UST coaching staff. I think they've gotten comfortable with one another. Talking about the Growling Tigers of this season, to the point that they're not going to be in that. Ako naman. Teka, kanina ko pa. Ako naman. I think they've gotten that chemistry already that they know just by instinct, just by looking at one another, when one particular player is going to take a particular shot. So, in that regard, yes, I think Cabanero has to be the focal point of the offense. Uh, Basically, in the first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, that's when Fort CK can start to, hit those clutch shots. And hey, we haven't even mentioned Motong Kara. So, yeah, let those other players get theirs, but let Cabanero definitely get the lion's share, or in this case, I suppose, the tiger share.
Awesome, awesome. Great stuff there. Thank you, Simon. Now, before we get to our live corner segment to end this very entertaining episode, let's play a word association game real quick. One word to associate every UAAP team. Let's do that again. One word to associate every UAAP team right now. Just one word. So we'll take turns. I'll mention the team and then we'll do the word association game. Let's start with UP. I'm gonna say favorite. Simon, are you there? Okay, looks like we might have
And
lost
I'm
Simon. Oh, there we are. Are you there, Simon? Can you hear
hi.
me?
Yeah, that's what happens when you mention the word favorite. I really don't want that word to seep into their consciousness, man. Come
Okay,
on, it
okay, okay.
affects my mobile data connection.
Let's start that again. Let's start that again. My first word for word association for UP favorite you.
Yeah, so I don't want that word to anyway enter their vocabulary. UP, still a work in progress.
Okay, that's more than one word, but I'll take it for UP because you are from UP. LaSalle. Mm, improvement. I think they need improvement. You
Deadly. They're still deadly.
deadly. Okay. Ateneo development for me.
Um, I don't mean okay. No, no, no. I'll think of a better word for that. Potential. So much potential for this team.
NU sayang. I just can't help but feel if Diasana was there, they would be so much better.
Fun. I'm sorry, but I know basketball is about wins and losses. But every time I watch NU, I have fun because this is fundamental basketball, folks.
UST looming.
Okay. Um, sharp, and that's bad news for the rest of the league.
Adamson shooting. I think they're dependent on outside shots. You?
Dark horse. I'm sorry, Soaring Falcons, for not seeing you like months ago, but now I see you, boys.
FEU youth.
Patience. The coaching staff and the players alike need bottles and bottles of that. You'll get there.
UE. Um, hmm. Okay, this is gonna be more than one word, but make or miss because they're also so dependent on their outside shooting.
You could put dashes like in between those three words. And sorry, grammarian, English teacher. Okay, still one word. Okay, UE, fire. Yeah,
Fire. Okay.
I feel the fire, and it's not just because it's hot in this place that I'm in right now, but fire, man. UE is fire right now.
Did we cover all teams? Or did we miss any
I think we
team?
did. I think
Okay,
we
we
did.
covered all teams. Awesome, awesome. That was a fun word association game. We should do that more frequently. Simon, life corner segment before we close this up. Go.
All right, a couple of things. Thank you, Navs, for recommending me to join that Power and Play episode with Comnoli Ayala and Sir Jera Season. It was in this very parking lot that I received a text message from producer Mike Santillan. Okay, a couple of days before that show took place. So thank you so much for that opportunity. I had fun guesting there with RJ Balyaser from the Game Magazine. So we had a lot of fun dissecting the latest news items of the day. Now, something else someone else I want to give a shout out to Navs would be, okay, I'm not sure if I told you about this in the past, but during the pandemic, okay, we're talking 2020, and when everyone and their grandmother had a podcast, okay, or a vodcast, as it were, a video version of a podcast like we're doing right now. Uh, Me and my homies, okay, did a little thing of ours, and I'm very sorry, Sam, Gab, Maui. Please do not chase us for copyright infringement, but we called ourselves the Bolero Podcast. Okay, so it's okay. You guys are the more successful boleros. We don't resent you for it, but shout out to the three of you. We love your content. So I want to shout out Boss Maverick Flores, my good buddy Mark Lalas, and basically the only person with credibility in that podcast. I think you know her, Nabs. That would be our orb, Louis Morales, who's written for the Philippine Star. So we had fun doing podcasts in 2020. The highlight of our content creation career. Okay, the four of us would be getting to interview Secret Base's own Seth Rosenthal. Okay, the guy who's behind Welcome to a Moment in History. So we had a blast interviewing him, and without those three, Mawel, Mark, and Louis, I would not be in a podcast with Naveen Ganglani, and I would not be on Power and Play with Com Noli Ayala. So, Mawel, Mark, and Louis, thank you so much.
Well, first of all, you deserved that Power in Play appearance. You have done an excellent job with us for All Star Magazine the last few months. So when Mike messaged me a few days ago asking who I could suggest as a guest on Power and Play from All Star, you immediately popped into my mind because I know you have great thoughts about basketball in the Philippines. You wrote a spectacular piece on Marshall Lassiter that is on our website, and people should read that. And I mean, look at your dedication. You're in the parking lot of your kid's school right now. You're using your data, and you're here doing a podcast appearance. And for that, I am very, very grateful and continue to do great things, Simon. For my Life Corner segment, I haven't quite decided. So I'll just keep it short, but I won't be covering as many UAP games live in the arena this season. There are two reasons for that. One is because in my capacity as senior editor for All Star Magazine, it's a lot more desk work, posting stuff submitted by other people. And it's easier to do when you have an actual desk at home and you have your time and your equipment and whatnot. Two is just to prioritize health a little more. I am 31 now. When I started covering the UAAP 10 years ago, my first season was 2014. I was 21. So 10 years have gone by very, very quickly. And I've been blessed, of course, with many opportunities the last 10 years, for any of which I will not regret. I don't take anything back because all those events got me here to where I am right now. But I think it's time to start prioritizing health a little bit more. Get that blood pressure down a little bit. But at the same time, there will be big games I will attend live at the arena. And UST versus LaSalle next Sunday. I'm circling that. I really want to watch that matchup at Mo Arena, so I'm gonna go to that. Just a quick other live corner story too. I actually took my nephew to his first Ateneo LaSalle game last Sunday. I posted a
What
video about this
happened?
on my TikTok. He's an Ateneo fan. I made him pick between an Ateneo shirt or a LaSalle shirt before
Yeah,
the
I know
game
you did.
started. Exactly, and he's like, "No, I want the blue one." His dad went to Ateneo, so that might have been a factor. But he picked the blue one. Unfortunately, he was not happy with the way the referees officiated the game. If any of you want to see how badly how badly he thought the officiating was, my 9-year-old nephew's analysis, just check my TikTok out and you'll get some pretty interesting analysis of the game officiating there. It's just about 10 seconds anyway. But that was fun. It was nice to see him kind of take in the environment, the atmosphere. My wife asked him, "Hey, how do you find the drums?" He's like, "They're so loud." But then he was enjoying. He was watching the game, eating his popcorn, and it just like kind of took me back to when I was a kid watching UAP games live and on TV. And who knows, maybe this will be the start of a UAP journey for him to some degree. Anyway, thank you to Simon for joining me on this episode. Thank you to John Abate for checking in with us less than 12 hours after UE defeated DLSU. And thanks to everyone from the community for showing up and watching this podcast. More power to you, Simon. God bless, and have a great week ahead.
Same to you, Navs. Bye, everyone.